Star Wars 7x7, episode 2495. Today, the penultimate share, if you will, going back down memory lane to Anaheim's Star Wars Celebration in 2015, and this time with vlogger Chris Pirillo. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. So, at Celebration Anaheim in 2015, there was an exhibit of costumes and props from The Force Awakens. And this, of course, was a huge big deal. It was quite the attraction. So much so that they were only letting a certain amount of people at a time into the conference rooms where they had the exhibit set up. And outside, they had a queue that, snaked back and forth upon itself a bunch of times. And it just so happened that I was in line. I can't remember whether I was ahead of him or behind him, but I was in the same line with Chris Pirillo, and so we just kept passing each other on different passes of that, snaking back and forth line. And at one point, I finally said, "Hey, can I interview you?" And he said yes, which was wonderful. Chris is a very popular video blogger and has been actually for a long time. Like even back in 2015, he was too. And so, I got to ask him the question, why Star Wars? And it went to other topics as well, which, also happen to be ones that are dear to my heart. And boy, it brought, flashback memories for me too. So, it was a lovely moment in between, ships passing in the night through the line. And that's the interview I'm going to share with you here today. It is Chris Pirillo talking about why Star Wars and much more.
I don't know. I think Star Wars kind of chose me. I discovered a few weeks ago, actually, in talking with my dad, that I was actually seeing Star Wars in its first run. Like, it was out for maybe a few days or a few weeks, and my dad took me because he wanted to go, and I guess he didn't want to go alone, and I was very, very, very young. And the only scene I remember from that, because I remember the experience, I don't remember waiting in line, thank goodness, like what we're doing right now, but I remember a certain scene of X-Wings and TIE Fighters. That's the only scene I remember from the first time I saw Star Wars. But even then, there wasn't much beyond it being another movie. Right. So my dad wasn't really into toys. I had toys, but I didn't know that toys were a thing necessarily, or Star Wars toys. I wasn't compelled to go and get toys. I was too young.
Right.
And, the marketing machine wasn't necessarily what it might have been today, where it's a blitzkrieg of, buy this, the toothpaste and the hand towel and the flamethrower, to, throw in a Spaceballs reference.
Yep.
It wasn't like that back then. So I remember seeing it then, and years later seeing Empire and noticing in a toy advertisement for a store that no longer exists that the Star Wars figures were on sale for 99 cents.
Right.
So I went, and it was at an end cap, 99 cents. I had $1 to spend. Back in the day, it was a lot of money. And I remember seeing specifically the AT-AT driver. The design, the sculpt of the figure, it jumped out at me. I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And I still have that figure to this day. So the thing that kind of launched my interest in Star Wars was not necessarily seeing the movie for the first time, but it was the toy. The first toy I remember, really loving and appreciating and growing into a collection. I had the original vintage collection, which is now in a shambles, unfortunately. But back in the day, you had to trade. Sorry, I realize.
No,
you asked me one question, I'm going to go for the next hour and a half.
That's fine.
So, but it's all part of Star Wars chose me, right?
Right.
So, I grew that collection by trading with friends and people that I didn't know. I knew about the blue snaggletooth not because I had one, but a friend had one. I'm like, what is it? This is not on the back of the card. How does this figure exist? I didn't know about.
For it?
No, he would not trade anything. I'm like, I'll give you my entire collection. I will give you anything, and because I didn't know about it, and you couldn't go to. There was no internet.
Right.
You couldn't. There was nothing like that, so you didn't know what it was. And there was a certain fascination of not having enough information. It was like just the opposite of what we have today.
Right.
So I ended up getting, over the years, finally completed the collection, minus a blue snaggletooth and a yak face.
Okay.
I didn't know yak face existed.
Right.
Until, of course, years later, I'm like, this is a figure? What? So, of course, now I have those two. And, as a collector,
right.
Those were almost more valuable than the original collection, minus a few of the figures that stayed in good condition.
Right.
I was a horrible collector as a kid. So it was the toys and the imagination and And everything about what Star Wars was back then, there was nothing like it. And so I feel it chose me more than I chose it. That, the feeling like this is a storyline. These are characters. These are real people that exist in a galaxy far, far away a long, long time ago. And I think that it just was always something that it was just fun for me. It was an escape, from reality, but it was also a reality that was an escape from imagination. I don't know how to explain it. Sorry, I'm getting all existential now at this point. Okay.
That's fantastic. I dig it. And there you go. That was Chris Pirillo, video blogger extraordinaire, talking about Star Wars and action figures and so much more. And that is going to do it for today's trip down memory lane in this episode as well. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always. And may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.